Hey there, welcome to Real WW Talk. I am Anastasia.
I am Drusella, aka Candice.
And I guess that makes me Cinderella.
I love that you owned it. Oh my goodness. Good morning. Actually, I am Erin, but you wouldn't know it this morning. So you're listening to this podcast, you're watching it anytime please. But we decided we're going to get up at 6:30 this morning, like we did, a couple episodes ago. Again, because all of our time is crazy. And 6:30 hit, and I sent a text because it was now 6:29 for me. And I'm like, guys, I literally just woke up.
And I said, same. And Rikki's like, that's okay, you all.
I had a couple more minutes to make my coffee, so I was good.
Rikki's got coffee. She's got shimmer eyeshadow on. She has earrings that she didn't sleep in.
My hair is lopsided, and I threw on a jacket because I was like, I'm running around. And then Erin was like crawling up the side of the
This is
like, yeah. We're like, this is what you get this morning. Cinderella and the other two.
Not good. It's not good. So my hair is pulled back. So if you're on the podcast, you're like, I don't get any of this. You should be grateful. If you've wondered if there is a God, this is the moment to know.
Apologize for those of you who put us big screen TV on.
Yes.
You're doing anything. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah.
But look at Rikki's pretty mug. Rikki look at her off. She's spinning it. Look at that.
Wait a second. Hold on. This is I think what we should do for this episode.
Yeah. I think that's more appropriate.
No.
If you're on the podcast, I just made Rikki's face like the most primary and the two of us the most small.
It's very pretty.
Show your mug, Rikki.
It is La Mode de Paris, and it is from France. And
see how she said that too?
With the accent.
It's all in the back. De Paris.
This is Belle, who is the French princess, and I got this in Disney World in Epcot, and it was my first time in Epcot at the ripe young age of 38. How old am I? 38.
Dreams come true, no matter how old you are.
So I picked up a mug with my favorite princess on it, and I'm enjoying my coffee out of it today.
Yay.
Hey, real quick for the both of you, can we talk a little bit about your Disney trip?
Yeah.
Tell because that's for people who are going walking or getting ready to go on vacations and spring breaks, in the next couple months or so. Preparation for it, staying on track, or do you go like, forget the plan?
So basically, I mean, first of all, if you're planning a big trip or something like this, you don't have to do 5 days. You don't have to do 10 days. We did 2 days in the parks, and it was 2 nights. We basically had a couple of reservations for meals while we were there because we thought ahead of time.
For a second, I thought you meant reservations, like hesitation. Like I've got some reservations for the meals, not
no
like
reservations in that way. I was like, what did I do? Why is she choking?
Nope, that's just my weird brain.
I think doing the research was helpful for us. Like, I know for me, I'm a Star Wars fan, and when I would, as a kid, I've only been to Disney one time before this trip, and I was about 8 or 9 years old. Hollywood Studios was, I think, MGM at the time, and they had the Tower of Terror, which was exciting to me, but they didn't have the whole Star Wars thing. That was pre-Disney's acquisition of Star Wars. So there was a whole Star Wars lane, and there's a cantina there called Oga's Cantina, and it's very, very popular. So we needed a reservation for that, so we planned ahead. But as far as the other food there, we also knew that there was going to be a festival. So it was a Festival of the Arts at Epcot. We knew that there was going to be a lot of food. We had originally planned to go to somewhere called a bake shop where they have like really fancy desserts with like glitter in them. But we decided in the moment, like, we're enjoying Epcot. We're getting so many steps in. Let's just cancel that reservation and enjoy getting our steps in, going to different parts of the world, trying things. we split a lot of the foods. I mean, we probably, I don't know, Candice.
I think we split everything, and not really just because of Weight Watchers. We just were like, look, like
You could try more things.
try more things instead of that's an old trick that I learned. You get something that looks good and this looks good, let's split it.
Yes. So that made it more affordable in a sense, and then also budget wise. I mean, we didn't track while we were there. I know I didn't track. Candice, it didn't track, but we got 20,000 steps in each day.
My word.
So that Friday and that Saturday, I know I had to do lots of stretches in between like that. When I woke up Saturday morning, my feet were really in pain. But I mean, talk about motivation. If you know you need to get to a ride at a certain time, or if you're hungry and you've been on all these rides and the lines are backing up, you'll stand longer than you think you can. You'll walk further than you think you can. So I don't know, Candice, what else do you want to add?
Yeah, no, I think the focus wasn't as we wanted it to be. The focus wasn't really food, which was good. You know, it was just, we had like 2 days. So we were like, let's fit in what we needed to do. I think the exercise, and I think it was just a reminder about livability, you know, because there wasn't a desire to like be bingy or go overboard. You were just like, if the soft shell crab sandwich sounds good, because that's what they had. It was so weird. It was if you're
you got a soft shell sandwich down there?
Yeah,
she did.
It was part of their arts festival, one of the locations, and it was a hit. And they were like, we're almost out of these soft shell crab sandwiches. And I mean, look, I come from like, my parents are from Yorktown, Virginia, which is right on the water. So soft shell crabs is in Maryland. So people know soft shell crabs. Now, nobody else had it. Rikki was like, you don't need to split that with me.
Well, so what Candice is not sharing is the presentation of it.
Yeah, it literally is this little what's his name from Little Mermaid? Little Sebastian. It's so bad.
I mean, it is a soft shell crab. There's no way to hide them fried legs.
And then there's a little ketchup on them and a little sandwich bun. It's very, if you're a vegetarian or if you're an animal lover, like you are upset. Like these little Sebastians that are fried on the side. So I understood. And I said, well, I'm going to do it. And I understand if everybody else is judging, I'll go over in the corner and eat it. But it was really, they had unique things though. Yeah. Like, you know, things you wouldn't expect. Like I had a soup there that I really would like to recreate. It was a little spicy, but I was like, oh my gosh, Erin, I was thinking of you. I was like, Erin would love this soup because it was like avocado, corn, chicken, and
crema,
and but it was so in the broth. Oh, it was so good.
Yum.
There was also a tart in Morocco, so you know you're going around the world, and it was avocado and was it coconut or something? Yes. But it was a sweet tart. It was a dessert.
Erin would be so loving if we could find a way to get Ziploc bags.
I know.
Like get it out to you and figure out what's in it so that it would be appropriate for you.
Well, you know that you can make avocado chocolate pudding, right? I've made that for you.
I feel like I've heard that before, but I haven't tried it.
Okay, so we're gonna play Disney at Erin's. How about that?
Let's do that. I'll give you the menu and you make it. So that actually sounds interesting. I actually would like to try that. You said avocado pudding?
It's avocado. It's ripe avocado, and you add, I think it's like a quarter of a cup of cocoa powder and a quarter cup of maple syrup. Guys, there is just Google the recipe. I don't have a recipe for you, but there are lots of recipes. But that's what I remember it being. And then just a little bit of non-dairy milk. No milk, no mint. Now, you could, if you wanted to keep it as a green pudding, but I've always made it as the chocolate. Well, but you said avocado, so on your.
I mean, it's kind of like clear Pepsi. Like when I think pudding, I don't think green. Like remember when they had that crystal clear Pepsi? I was like, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's clear Pepsi is 7-Up.
Yeah,
yeah.
My mind. So,
how about the airport coming and going? I don't know what time you guys left for your flights, but were there any challenges, obstacles with flights and hunger and food? Because that's a 2.5-hour flight from Baltimore.
Our first flight was very early. It was, I think we left around 6:30.
Did you bring breakfast with you, or did you get breakfast at the airport, or did you just like, I'm gonna
I don't think we even were thinking I wasn't thinking about anything.
We got coffee. Yeah, we got coffee though, didn't we? Yeah. And I think I want to say I got a croissant.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I did get something early because we didn't have any like it was kind of up in the air that day. I will say celebration wise, I've been working on my goals and everything because in the past couple years there was a time I got on a plane and the seatbelt didn't fit, but it fit this time in both ways. So that was a major accomplishment. I will share one lower point, which it wasn't, it's feedback, but there was one ride where one of my friends said that might be a little bit harder to get into. And I did have some anxiety throughout the trip about being a plus size person getting on these rides. There was one ride where I was not able to fit into in order the mechanics in order to have like the safety thing latch, and I did have to get off, which was,
Can I speak up about that though?
Go ahead.
Because for anyone who's listening and has any kind of anxiety, Rikki deserves all the stars.
Absolutely.
Because she, not only that, they had like, the test one that's out there.
Yeah.
And she went to see, she got over her fear. She went to see. Initially, it looked like it was going to be fine, but she got in. I would say the staff at Disney, they were appropriate. They were good. It wasn't like a big deal. And we got off, but Rikki pushed past her fear to at least try. And I thought that was so profound. And I told you that. The fact that while you were nervous about it, we had promised. We said, if it doesn't work, we get off. And that's the benefit of going with people who we get each other.
Yeah.
And we got off. She got some pins afterwards. And I understand, but she handled it so well. I understood in that moment that could have been something that was really hard to hear.
Yeah.
But I think even with it, it didn't ruin the rest of your day.
No, it didn't. And so if anyone's wondering what ride it was, I'm going to share because I feel like if you would like to be informed before you go, it's the Avatar ride. And the way it works is there's a test seat outside and you sit on it kind of like you're leaning into a motorcycle. But even though I sat there fine, there are mechanics that have to go over your back. And more so, she tried my calves first. I have wide calves. And they were pressing it onto my calves. She tried multiple times and it just didn't latch. So she very quietly said, I'm sorry, I tried, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to latch you in. So, you're not going to be able to ride today. And she said it so quietly, like, I don't think anyone else heard. Again, I've never seen these people again other than my friends I was with. But like Candice said, the professionalism, the respect for your dignity was there. So I encourage anyone to try these rides because there were so many more rides that I was able to go on without any problems. Guardians of the Galaxy was probably the most fun ride ever. Like it was, I hadn't been on a roller coaster that fast and that like topsy-turvy since I was a kid. And, going on the Tower of Terror, and just screaming lungs out.
Rikki has pictures that, she can use against me forever. Because every picture I'm like, I'm doing like the faces, like, they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't understand. Because Tower of Terror takes you off guard. If you've ever been on it, it just goes up and it drops. And it drops. And I'm never prepared. And I'm a bit expressive. So
just a bit.
No, just slightly. So go to Rikki's, I think she put it on our Instagram page, right? That are your personal page. If you want to see some faces from the walk. But again, it wasn't about the food. It was just like even the day that we got there from the airport, it was kind of like, I think go.
Yeah. Well, and I think, okay, couple things. One, Rikki, I'm really proud of you because I think even just the work that you've done in the mental space to be here in the past, that's something that would have crushed you.
Yeah.
And you even just started right out saying it was feedback. It was feedback, and being able to even just put it in that category and go, wow, look at all of the rides that I was able to do because I adhere to my accomplishments and this was feedback that this is, I've got a little more work to do to do this one because it's structured differently than other rides,
Right.
but it's not an indication of me
Mm-hmm.
and the work that I've done. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I can hear that disappointment in you, but at the same time, I can see and hear from you that it's not, this isn't definition
Right.
of you.
And
I mean,
the totality of the trip. It was
Right.
such a small moment.
Yes.
yeah. And then
And-
even more growth for us too is that it's the excitement is about the trip, and it's not we're doing this to go get the food, which is another for, you know, for those of us who struggle with food things. It seems like it's always it's the fear around the next meal or not wanting to overeat, or the trip is entirely about food as opposed to the experience and the joy that we're getting out of it.
And I would say everything, I know I talked about the bake shop and us not making it there, but we didn't decide not to go there because we were like, oh, that's too many points. It wasn't about that. It was more about the location we were in at that point. We tried, I would say, everything we wanted to try. And also when there were things that didn't taste as good as we wanted, or as like there was a crepe, for example, in the France Pavilion, and I had better toppings on crepes. Like the crepe itself was fine, but the topping was just okay. And we shared that, but we didn't finish it. And we were just like, well, you know, I'm not going to sit here and keep eating this because I paid for it. Like, and there was something else. I think there were a couple other things that I think there was a drink that I got.
Yeah.
Yes, the boba. So in the Japan section, there was boba, and we were going to go on a ride. And I was like, I don't want to force myself to drink this just because I paid for it. Just because, you know, to rush myself. It was okay. Wasn't the best boba I'd ever had, or bubble tea. So I threw out like 2/3 of the drink.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel bad about it. You know, at first I was like, Candice, don't just judge me. And I think you said the same thing to me when you threw something out.
I think it was just that. But I think it was that type of feeling. It's like, you know, Weight Watchers and stuff is in the back of your mind in terms of the principles and the things you've learned. It was a reminder that whether you're putting the points down or not, or you're choosing that I'm proactively not doing this, it doesn't mean that you have to throw the whole principles and ideas away. Right. And I think we both lost. Like I lost during the trip. Like I came back to a loss, and I was prepared mentally to see maybe the number go up, because I was like, I enjoyed myself at Epcot. But the scale was like, this offset this, go in peace, you know, like, and the trip just really wasn't about the food, while I still enjoyed the food. So I was really proud to see that what they're teaching and what, you know, what Weight Watchers tries to teach you about all the things really does work, you know, regardless.
I was down 2 pounds.
Yeah.
For a total of 20 pounds. So since I guess last year, the past year. So it's been slow, but I'm happy with that. And it gave me the biggest thing that I was concerned about was initially the seatbelt on the flight and feeling comfortable on the flight. And again, with the rides, you know, I made it on 99% of the ride, maybe 95% of the rides I went on. And it's, like you said, Erin, the trip wasn't defined by what I couldn't do, but by what I could. So,
and if you're claustrophobic like me, don't worry. You don't have to worry about the flight. You'll cry the whole time, which is what I did. You know, like, don't worry about the food. All I did was going, I'm okay. It's fine.
I will say, Candice waited. I'm not judging.
I waited
until the very end to tell me, by the way. Like, I think we were in the car on the way to the airport.
I'm slightly claustrophobic, in case you didn't mention, if you listen to what I would say to Erin, like on stuff on flights. But y'all, just real quick, I picked the worst time to like have a claustrophobic attack. I got through the whole flight going back home, like the whole thing. And we're at the end. And I was like, I'm not okay, Rikki. Because I'm not like one who screams. I just cry. And I was like, I'm just not okay.
Were you in an aisle seat or a middle seat? You were aisle seat?
Okay. And we were in the front. Not just in the aisle, but in the front. And the guy, the flight attendant is just sitting there and yapping and stuff. And I'm like, I think I need some ice. Just something to make me cooler. I don't know. And I asked him, and he was like, well, I can't get you any ice until we land. And I looked at Rikki and I said, see, This is the worst. So if I don't make it home, if something bad happens, it wasn't the food. It's not because I gained weight. It's because
Tell David and
tell David I love him. You know, talk about dramatic. So if you all are any other claustrophobic flyers, just know that'll keep your mind off food because go in there and back. Rikki was like, "Do you want to see my phone? This is me when I was 5. This is me when I was 6. Are you still with me?" She used all of her tricks. It was very nice.
Take a deep breath.
She was like, "We're okay.
How many pink shirts do you see?
Count with me." And I was thinking of Erin and be like, "My word, if you don't take this thing and put it around your neck," I wasn't using my tools. So I just wanted to let you know, I had to throw that in there. I did indeed have 2 claustrophobic attacks that resulted in me crying for no reason because it wasn't even hot on the plane. But there you have it.
But that's why God gives us friends to help us through things. So
And Rikki was the best because she tried so hard. She was like, "Okay, it's gonna be okay. You see the lights outside? How many lights do we see? Do you see the clouds? How many? Let's count them."
Oh my gosh. But here's the thing. The next time somebody here who's listening is like, I'm like, they've never been with somebody who's ever had a panic attack or any of those things. They're listening. They're like, "I see clouds. How many clouds do you see?" You know?
If all fails, pull out your phone and show them. I was scrolling through every picture. I was like, "This is the background."
Yeah.
It's I was making things up.
She was making things up.
These are flowers from the forest that I plucked myself. And then I grew again in my.
The hard part is when you know people are using tricks on you, though. Like when you know people are using that calming thing, so that means you know you're out of control. She's like, "How are we feeling now?"
Right.
When you got on the rides, "How are we in the corner? We doing okay? Are we doing all right?" And I'm like, I can understand why you would feel that way but thankfully, like I said, for anyone who wants to fly with me, all I do is cry. I'm not going to get I just cry. Okay. And it's inappropriate. So that was our trip.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Erin, you were holding down the fort here and
holding down the fort
radio stuff. What were you doing? Did you cook any new recipes? What were you up to?
Did. So while you guys were down there, my parents got COVID.
Oh,
and so mom and dad both had it. Mom had it worse than dad. Okay. But dad's a dad, so of course nobody has it worse than him. But no, mom had it pretty bad, and dad and she caught it from him. He came down with it first. And so our joke when we were younger was, it wasn't a joke. Actually, it was my dad said it jokingly, but it was also serious. You know what I mean? If you got sick, you'd have to walk through the house and yell "unclean" if you were coming into the room. What is this? And he used to put the remote in like Ziploc bags. And so, and he's going around and Lysol all the doors and bleach. And we knew somebody was sick because we'd smell bleach. And I'm like, "Oh, dad's bleaching down everything. Dad's gone into control and containment mode." Yeah. But he gets sick, and then we joke, we're like, we say he goes, and he spreads it over everything. Like, that's what my dad does. So when he sent us a note and he said, "Well, he's got COVID," we're like, "Well, y'all are on your own. See you later." And then when he said, mom's got it now, I just typed back to the family chat, "Looks like somebody didn't yell unclean when he entered a new room."
You didn't do what you're supposed to do.
That's great.
So were you on chicken noodle soup duty? Did you make some? Okay.
Yep. So I was busy. I was chicken soup, and then I made Italian wedding soup because my mom is not, she's not the biggest chicken fan, and she's not the biggest ground beef fan. But so they're trying to find something in between. But then she also has type 2 diabetes. So if I lean something that's more like the sweet potato and that kind of thing, that's too heavy of carbohydrates for her to balance with blood sugar. So she's forced to eat. She forces herself to eat the animal protein to offset. But she will do an Italian wedding soup. So I had that rolling.
What's in that?
Italian wedding soup. So it's their little tiny meatballs, and then spinach, and depending on whose version. So let me just say that, because if you're Italian, I realize that I'm about to highly offend somebody. Okay. I'm going to own that right away. There are lots of different recipes for Italian wedding soup. Giada's from Food Network, hers has curly endive and watercress and spinach and egg, almost like an egg, kind of like egg drop soup. And then there's another one that I found that was carrot, celery, onion, and spinach and a little tiny meatball. So it kind of seems to run the gamut. So I did the one that had the most amount of vegetables. I actually followed a recipe for this one, but I used my own meatball recipe because I could look at that one and go, mine's going to be better. So her soup base, my meatball recipe, and mom ate that up. And I did use my those soup cubes that we talked about at Christmas. So I did some 1-cup portions and put them in the freezer. So she'd have some to eat now. And then if later she wanted some, she could pull a cube out for later and microwave that at a different point. And then I had another friend who, bless her heart, suffered a miscarriage. And she was coming back she had the doctor's appointment that day. And I mean, I don't have, it goes unsaid, but mental space of, I have to go take care of other things. And I really just need to take care of myself right now, So I made her, she also then came down with a cold on top of it. So I made her chicken soup, and then I made a carrot soup, a roasted carrot soup. Again, look on the internet. There's recipes for that everywhere, but it was just roasted carrots and onions, and it was blended with some Thai red curry paste. So it was really fragrant, some coconut milk, some vegetable broth. So that would be, very kind of nourishing and healing for her. So I was in cook mode last week. That's where I was.
I wish that you didn't have to have really bad things happen to get like Erin to make like a soup, and you don't, but it's appropriate then. Like Erin, I don't want anything bad to happen. I just want some chicken soup. I don't want COVID. I don't want. I just want soup. So we're gonna make that a celebration thing. It's February, soup for everyone. That's your good friend. Yeah, because the soups. Honestly, during this time, I've been leaning heavily on soup. Soup has been wonderful for lunches for me.
So can we now? So you guys went away for your little vacation, and even though it was 2 days, that's still 2 days where you aren't home, and now you've got to do a little bit of that fridge restock. I know that's a hard part. We plan for vacation, but we forget to plan for coming home from vacation. What has that looked like? Because trying to get out of the vacation high and get back to normal life is a whole different game.
Mine was really bag salad and soup. I went for convenience, but I was really craving vegetables and fruit because I didn't have as many of those choices on vacation. And so I wanted to I just wanted to do that. So I had the bag salads that I love from, there's one that I love from, what is it, Mediterranean Farms or Taylor Farms, but it's an organic chopped salad. And it has like feta and other things in it. And I put my salmon cake. I make a homemade salmon cake that has like the wild salmon. You beat an egg, little spices, and you form it. And you can either bake it or pan fry it a little bit. Put it on top of the salad. Oh my gosh! So it's protein and the veggies. And then, like I said, sometimes soup on the side. I've been into chicken soup since. You made it for me one time. I've been like on that kick. So, and with the weather being cold, it's been helpful.
Yeah.
What about you, Rikki?
I had kind of a double whammy because came back from the trip and then I had a training. I had one day at my, school location Monday, but then I had a 4-day training, which actually was an incredible training about how to deal with individuals with trauma and like how to respond to them, but also it really taught you good listening skills and conversation skills. But it was a 4-day training at a school in Jessup, which is, a little closer to home for me, but not necessarily where I'm typically going. So I didn't have access to my regular refrigerator. I didn't have my room where I could sit during my lunch break and get on my computer and, spread my things out. I was in a high school and, and I was at a high school desk and I felt like a student for I really was a learner for 4 days, but I did get an hour-long lunch break. So I went to my car was my office. So I planned ahead a bit by going to the store and getting, things to make sandwiches for the week. But there was a taco place that was apparently on Guy Fieri's show.
Oh, you went to the gas station taco place?
They moved. They have a brick and mortar now.
They do?
So they do. It's not far from Mom's. Yeah. So they have a brick and mortar now. But went there. It was a really nice place, and I had enough food that I would have gone to it at the gas station too, because it was supposed to, that sometimes the hole in the wall places.
Really that gas station area. The only reason that holds me up from it is that it's so bonkers. The traffic right there at that light is ridiculous. Trying to get into it is so. I'm like,
well, it's not there anymore. It's got its own little storefront, and
nice.
So I went there for lunch and had leftovers and had them for dinner. So it was a mix of like a little bit of takeout this week, and then the things that I prepare, the sandwiches. But I was proud of myself that I didn't eat out all 4 days. It was just one of the days for lunch, and I saved it for dinner. With the leftovers that I had. So it was a mixture. I feel like I did some preparing, but could have done a little bit more dinner prep. But it still was a good week, and feel like I didn't feel like I was so much out of my routine, even with the change in work schedule. I feel like I was back to whatever normal is.
Yeah. Good. Erin, how do you handle, even though you've been home, like when you've been going on trips, for work or having to do things with the station, what do you use to kind of?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I'm gone next week. Not this coming week. I'm trying to think, like everything's existing in a vacuum. Yeah, this coming week, I'm going away. I'm in Houston it's a short trip. It's 2 days, but it's that quick thing. And so I have already food that is in my mind. I'm prepping for, I'll be hitting the grocery store a little bit later today. But prepping for, flight down. I kind of have like a mid-morning flight. That was the cheapest one of all things, was kind of mid-morning. So I've got food that I'm going to bring with me on the plane, and you can bring food with you as long as it's not liquid, or if your liquid food, so say like a peanut butter or applesauce or yogurt, is under the, underneath the ounce. Was it 2 ounces, 1 ounce, something like that?
3.
Yeah, 3 ounces. That's it. So you can tell how often I'm like, I don't want to trip that wire up. It's kind of a thing. So I don't do that. But I'll bring non-smelly food for the plane. Let's just say that.
We appreciate you for that.
Yeah. Right. Nobody wants that in their life.
Yeah.
And then I bring snacks with me, again, because of my food allergy thing, but you don't have to have food allergies to bring snacks with you, like the chopsticks or, some things that can go with you, some different protein bars, that type of thing. But when I come back, depending on the length of the trip, I will also food prep before I go to make myself make freezer meals. So all I have to do is reach down into my freezer and pop something into, I'm making my own lean cuisines, my own, previous WW meals. I'll make sure that I have fruits and vegetables like apples, things that aren't going to go bad while I'm away. Those are there and ready for me when I come back. So I can kind of ease back in until I can go get another trip. So I actually
do better with that, with the freezer, Erin. Like, that's the reminder. I keep forgetting because I'm always worried about food going bad. I'm like, that's why I don't do the meal prep. But I also am running out of freezer space. So how do you handle? Do you just have a lot of freezer space?
No, I don't have a lot of freezer space. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think you and I have about the same amount of freezer space.
Okay.
Now, what is difference between you and me is it's me and you've got 2 additional people, right? But January, I do a no spend month to help recover from Christmas, but also knowing that because it's cold, my BGE bill is going to be astronomical, and it was way more than I was expecting it to be, but it's okay. God already had the money in place for me. Anytime I get a little extra something, I know, okay, well, I know that's going to something. I don't know yet. But a part of my no spend is for even food. Unless I can supplement. So I cook through the freezer and I cook through my pantry. So the only thing that I'm buying is fresh fruits for the week, or maybe some fresh vegetables or herbs to assist in the cooking through the freezer. So, and then I have an area that I carve out that is just for my frozen meals. I have a set of 5 containers, and that's the only thing that's allowed in that space. So I've made that a priority. And then I will either, if I'm down to like nothing, I will either make a single meal and that becomes my meal prep freezer meal. Or if as I'm getting low, I will make a recipe and 1 serving goes into a container and goes in the freezer. So I have some variety to go through. So one of the things that's in there right now, I made meatballs. And I had some leftover of these roasted peppers and onions. And so I did the peppers and onions in a container with the meatballs and some rice. Boom, freezer meal. I pull it out. And that can come with me to work, or in a day where I'm like, that just goes into the microwave for 4 minutes. And
that's going to be my meal this week, because that sounds amazing.
It does, yeah.
Onions. And what kind of meatballs? Like barbecue?
So you could do barbecue meatballs if you want. I found a recipe on Pinterest. I'll have to find out the link it. That one I can do. It's called the juiciest meatballs. And the secret to it is grating a half of an onion and adding some beef bouillon powder to the recipe. Legitimately the best meatballs I ever make. And I don't use any of the breadcrumbs in it either. They are really, really good. Really.
You look, don't let me down. I need that recipe.
I will.
Again, we're saving marriages here. We're saving marriages so that I can look like I know what I'm doing. Okay. And others like me. So
David's going to eat that. He's like, is that Erin?
Erin or Rikki? Which one told you?
Right. Okay.
Never gives me credit. Never.
Meatball.
Yes.
Well, you're still recovering from salmon and mozzarella. So
Isaiah liked it. That's all that mattered.
Isaiah, God bless Isaiah.
Yes. He doesn't know yet.
Isaiah would love it because it's peppers, onions. There's no potatoes, but you could add potatoes if you want. Potatoes don't really freeze well.
My little chef son, who's over here, he's like, Mom, peppers and onions, breakfast? Yes, that's okay. Sure. With your Cheerios on the side. That works.
So all I would say for like freezer stuff is you have to make it a priority, right? But and carve out the space. Okay. And that same thing, it's just intentionality, like with anything else. This is my freezer meal space. Nothing else goes here. And then, my gosh, you can make all kinds of. I honestly, I think like the taco bowls are a great way to start because rice, beans, taco meat freeze really well, and then get a bag of frozen peppers and onions. You don't even have to do anything to them. Just add those into the mix and then put a little taco seasoning over top of it. Done. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So, yeah. Okay, well, let's see. For us to wrap today, I do just want to give a couple thank yous to some folks. Cheryl and Fran specifically, because they are brand new supporters of the Real WW Talk podcast. Yay!
Bless you, bless you, bless you.
Thank you, ladies. Yeah, like we've said before, this is a little thing that we do. This isn't our full-time thing. Like, as you can tell, the dramatic way we started, I think we sound a little bit more alert now.
Yeah, we're waking up.
We started.
Yes.
But it actually it costs money to do this, and a lot of those tech fees have just gone up, surprised us. So
Like, what?
right. So when you hear the ads, you hear, the supporters, you are helping to offset the cost of doing this. And just a reminder that we are not a part of WW outside of the memberships that we pay for. They don't even, quote unquote, know that we exist. Nope. So this is all self-funded, and we are so grateful for the advertisers and supporters who come along to donate. You help make this possible. So thank you, Cheryl and Fran, for joining in with our other supporters. And then also just want to give a thanks to Jonathan. He is one of our Real WW Talk community members. You can join the Real WW Talk Facebook community. Just search for Real WW Talk on Facebook. But he's actually, on his little profile, I didn't know this, but he's a coach and a guide at WW. But he is always sharing recipes that he's making, that he's eating, and he posts what it looks like in his app. So if you want to recreate it to make, but it's like, oh, I got dinner today, breakfast this morning. And it's just like things I haven't thought to make before that he makes. So if you need that little extra inspiration, Jonathan, we just want you to know, thanks for being part of the group, making the group better in how you share. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Anything else? Anybody else wants to add?
No, just what is it? What does Jim Carrey say at the end of the movie? Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Right. I don't see you.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Well, have a great week. Hey, let us know. Travel plans are going to be starting for a lot of folks. So hop over in the group and let us know maybe some of your travel tricks. Maybe what do you plan for when you come back, or how you plan for the plane, or maybe what some of your goals are as you are traveling. What do you eat? Do you eat out every single meal, or do you, maybe cook some meals while you're traveling, depending on the situation? Love to get that thread going in the group. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.